It's a quiet Friday morning in the garden. The sun's just coming over the side of the building. It's not quite 8:30 in the morning yet, and I'm trying to get some work done in the garden before it gets too hot and humid. As soon as the sun starts shining down on the garden, the humidity levels are actually going to get higher, and it will be more tiring to work in the garden. Well, the garden is doing really well. Everything is growing. There is some disease damage, some heat damage, but on the whole, I'm actually trying to keep things contained. As you can see, this Ghia plant, there are 3 or 4 plants in the garden, and they've sent creepers out all along the fence, and now they are sort of blanketing the herbs in this patch and trying to get and climb onto the car hood, looking for space to grow. So I'm going to first cut back some of these vines and put them in the compost bin so they can become nutrients for next year's plants. And I'm going to try and be careful because there are some fruits that are growing amidst them. So that's one Ghia or Loki that's growing there, and then on the inside of the fence there are more. So that's going to be the first task for the day. So that's it. All of this has come from clearing just this much space. I'm laughing because I'm amazed at how prolific nature is. And what looks like a small mass of vines can actually be quite deceptive. Just look at the length of that thing. I think that's easily 8 feet, 9 feet long. So, well, I've cleared this space so that the herbs that are growing here will have more breathing room, and this might actually be good for the plants also, because then they can focus on producing more fruit in the spaces where they're still growing. The okra plants are really enjoying the combination of heat and humidity. All the different places where I'm growing okra, the okra plants have already gone to 6 feet or more, and they are producing both blossoms as well as fruit. I love making okra or bhindi, as we call it, bhindi ki sabzi. Just basically dry roasting bhindi and some sauteed spices, onion, garlic. Maybe I'll make it one day, record it, and put the recipe up as well. It's really simple and so delicious. It makes a great accompaniment to a tomato-based sabzi or a gravy, and roti, dahi, achar, salad. Just a simple home-cooked meal. These okra plants are still small, but if the other ones are any indication, then these are actually going to keep growing as well. And there's another one that's small, but then there's this one that's balancing things out. So this okra plant didn't have a lot of room to grow down here because the tomatoes are going a little bit bonkers. There's also an eggplant here with fruit that needs to be harvested soon. Let's see. Yep, there's one over there. There's a smaller one over here that definitely needs to be harvested, I think today itself. Lots and lots of tomatoes in different stages of growth. And then there's this lone okra plant that's growing through all of this foliage, up, and away. So this guy is at least 10 feet tall. So it's so tall that I can see the underside of the leaves. It's so pretty with the light filtering through it. You can see some ants in there, and their welcome addition to the garden. So I'm trying to keep these tomato plants contained, provide them the support they need to grow, but as the tomatoes become bigger, they actually weigh the stems down. So I've been trying to prop these stems up using all kinds of different things, from these initial metal brackets, tomato supports, to something sturdier like these tall bamboo poles, this thick jute twine, after it became quite clear that the thin one wasn't going to be able to provide sufficient support on its own. And I still have tomato plants that are just overgrowing that setup. So I'm using everything I have to make sure that these plants stay contained. All the tomatoes that they're putting out have enough room to grow, and these are different tomato plants. I have these smaller cherry tomatoes growing here. Some of them are volunteers going straight out of this compost bin, much like this sweet potato volunteer that's decided to join the party. And I have these T-posts here, this metal, these were actually tomato supports that I decided to use as a sort of a fence instead. So it's not pretty, it's a little haphazard, but it works, because when you combine all of these different kinds of supports, I'm just able to manage, keep these tomatoes contained. I just want to show you what it's like. So if you look at this side, these are, I counted them the other day, so there are some 12 tomatoes, maybe more, that are all growing right around this corner. Some are getting closer to the point where I need to harvest them before chipmunks or squirrels get to them. But it's just, I'm just in awe all the time of how well things grow. And again, I'm trying to be a good facilitator, as we use the term in education circles, but really a good keeper of the garden, not trying to control everything, just providing support when needed, cut back when things seem to be overcrowding other things, or growing out of space. And enjoying the songs of the birds and the bugs in this beautiful, quiet, peaceful morning with my fur babies, of course, right, Chiki and Pari? Chiku? Pari? They are not looking at me because I told them to be quiet, because they were barking at someone. Chiki, good girl, it's okay, you don't have to bark and you can still be happy, right, buddy? Hi. The two sweet potatoes that are the point of origin of all of these vines are getting to the point where I'm gonna have to start harvesting them. But so far so good. I'm letting them grow. There's still a few more weeks to go. There's another ghia plant that I must have put down here. It's finally beginning to take off in this part also. Here are the arms of the other ghia plants that have been extending out over the fence. I think I saw some ghia growing here and I should harvest it soon. Here's one. It has some damage, but it should be okay otherwise. And then I think there are two more over here. There's one over there, and then there's a smaller one growing right next to it. And when you have a garden like this, I mean, I just watch and wonder, because all of this green growth, it's an outer indication of how rich, nutrient dense and fertile the soil is becoming. Here's another ghia that's growing. I also put down some Karela seeds, and the vines are jostling for space with the ghia, but they seem to be doing okay. So think about it. I don't add any amendments, any store-bought compost. This is all the soil that I've been working on for the last 4 years at improving, working with nature to do it. So there is a ton of earthworm activity underneath these wood chips. And those earthworms and other organisms that make up the soil's ecosystem are producing sufficient nutrients for everything to grow in the garden and to support the, if I can call it so, the biodiversity in the garden. So I have these butterflies that visit the garden throughout the day, collecting nectar from these cosmos plants, and these are all, every single one of them, all volunteers from the cosmos I planted last year, and I've let them grow. I'm not trying to create a super organized garden here with meticulously cleared rows. No, I like it this way. It might look like a jungle, but what a beautiful jungle it is. I would take this any day over overly manicured lawns, though they look beautiful too, but this is my space and this is the way I like this space. And I've got lots of peppers and I've been harvesting them on a daily basis and using them in lunch, in dinner. Here's one right here. So all in all, what a beautiful space. Peaceful, lush, thriving, producing food for me and my fur babies and all the other organisms that live here. Couldn't ask for more. Okay, so that's it. The sun's coming over, and it's soon going to get to a point where it will be uncomfortable, if not for me, for my fur babies. So I'm gonna wrap this up and harvest some tulsi and some mint, some fennel for my morning cup of chai, and then later I'll come downstairs again to harvest some fresh vegetables for lunch and for dinner. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.